the issues we addressed in the master plan is this is a infrastructure driven project. So if there's one thing, there'll probably be three things tonight I want you to take home, from this 30-minute, 40-minute presentation from us. And the first thing would be infrastructure. So we know that the golf course is great and we know it's fun and it's very hilly and the greens are one of the wildest sets out there from Donald Ross, very steep back to front, not many flagstick locations when the greens are really rolling fast, in May, early June. And then this time of year, I bet in September, they are very quick as the nights get shorter or days get shorter, nights get longer, and the temperatures kind of cool off a little bit. I bet JR has the place really in fine condition. But, right now, obviously, your greens, they lack a lot of pinnable areas, which result in maintenance issues. And what we mean by that are flag sticks are always in the same locations. We want to have 8 to 10 flag stick locations on each green. And right now, really, when you look at some of your greens, like hole 12 or 14, 16, 6, those four come to mind right off the top of my head. I feel like there's one or two flag sticks sometimes on those greens, and it kind of gets to be a monotonous affair playing the same flag stick locations. I love when I go to my club and I see a new flag stick location I have never seen, or, I kind of salivate looking forward to play on a Sunday, and I go, wow, I can't wait to, see where some of these flag sticks will be on a, tough Sunday morning. And then it's always a talking point too. You get back into the clubhouse and the ladies and the men, talk about some of the fun flag sticks they encountered that day. So definitely greens, something to think about as we want to implement the master plan. Tees, obviously lack of square footage, especially on the par threes, holes like number 7. They're failing to accommodate the increased play that we have after COVID. Drainage, we could always put in more drainage. There are low-lying areas, wet fairways out there, especially holes like 5, along the brook there. Now the bottom half of 16, some parts of 17, bottom part of 11, 10. Very obviously with the beautiful land that we have there are some valley parts that are, that probably stay wet after a rain event. That would help improve turf conditions, recover from rain events. The edges of the brooks, we've been tackling with Brent, and same with JR as he kind of takes on the torch from Brent. We loved working with Brent. He was one of our favorite superintendents and, absolute all-star. We were lucky to have him for so long. I thought he brought tremendous value to the club and always, was had a smile on his face. But he really did a great job along 5, 16, 17 there with that eroding brook edge. Also the trees, we want to open up some of these playing corridors, get the turf conditions to be obviously paramount and be a focal point, especially around tees and greens. We've done a great job with that for the last 15 years. It is always a thing that is, transpiring and continual. We want to screen the property boundary and improve our screening, so we're not looking at houses, or we're not looking at unsightly off-site properties. But we also, like the road left behind 10, behind 12 at 13T. But then also, highlight the really good species, the specimen oaks and hardwoods. And we want to replant the specimens as well. We're not just talking about removing everything and making a farm landscape again. There are some beautiful trees, and we want to enhance that for our kids' future and our kids' as we pass the baton on to them. Architecture, the Donald Ross features that have been sort of lost. Obviously, those greens don't reflect the original green shapes or sizes or scale. 1922, when the golf course was built 103 years ago, those greens were fine. They were being put on probably your fringe height was the green height, meaning how fast they were. They were probably a 4 or 5 on the stimp at most. So you would have to give the ball a thorough whack with your putter. And it was very handsy and wristy when you look at these old videos and Ryder Cup venues, things of that nature back in the 20s and 30s. And so the greens, obviously, they have become cut down, smoothed out quicker, and that has made these beautiful old greens, these steep back to front greens, almost unplayable during some parts of the season. The bunkers, I hear it all the time. Oh gosh, we just did the bunkers. Why do we have to do them again? That is a phenomenal question, probably the best question, and that's a tough one for us. It really comes down to scale, size, the antiquity, the character, the style. They sort of are about 60% of what they should be in scale. So they don't really match the fairway lines, the width of the fairways. They feel just as an afterthought. And Ross really bunkered his golf courses to be the star of the show. The greens were the backbone, and then the bunkering was kind of the second act, and really helped defend par and help give the golf course some thought off the tee. Your mowing lines, the current fairway lines, they don't really reflect the width. So when we widen the fairways and we give us a couple more forward tees and champ tees, the bunkers will really feel out of place. And so we really need to nail those and get those right. And then everything will seamlessly fit together like a glove. So the greens being expanded, the bunkers get a little closer to the greens, the fairways get expanded, the bunkers interject then more into the fairways, and they kind of feel offset from the tee and they overlap, and it's very visually striking. Increasing the playability and fun for all golfers. Bigger greens, wider fairways usually means more fun for the higher handicap or the lower ball flight player. There are a lot of open approaches in Donald Ross's architecture in the 20s, so he allowed for the golf ball to run into the green through the approach, adding some drainage in the approaches, drying those approaches out, letting the ball run onto the green, I think would be a big boon for the golf course. It would play a lot firmer and more fun, interesting watching that ball roll. And then obviously moving some tees up more forward, shortening the golf course for some sets of players, allowing people to have some wedges and lower irons into greens. When the greens get bigger, we then can set flag sticks in different locations, back left, back right, front right, in corners, and that helps defend par for the better players when we really want to. So it just gives us options when we have wider fairways, bigger greens, bigger bunkers. It gives us more options to really set the golf course up any way we want. It could be easy on ladies' day with some flagstick locations in the middle of the greens and some tees a little more forward, and it could be a little more fun on ladies' day. And then we could have a member guest or a state am or state open, and we could tuck flagstick locations into diabolical spots, and then push the tees back, raise the rough, and it would still be a really great test of golf. So it just gives us more flexibility on the golf course. Here are some of the greens. Obviously, I mentioned 6, 12, 14, 16. What do we notice with these two slides? The greens are all red. That means the percentage is over 6% when it's red. So it shows the pinnable area on these scans, these green scans that were taken last year, 2 years ago, October 25th of 23. So nearly 2 years ago. And it shows the pinnable area on the greens, or lack thereof. Some of your greens, like 16, we all know there's one spot in the back, and then really kind of up front left, or number 14, we know we have a back plateau back there that's really difficult. But then if you don't get to that back plateau, the ball kind of funnels down all the way to the front edge there in the green. And we know 6 is probably the biggest concern out there, and I think probably the worst offender. We would love to really soften that a little bit, but still keep it architecturally significant and thoughtful. 12 isn't so bad. We could live with 12. We like 12 a lot with the big, beautiful spine running through it. There's a great front left pin, back right, back middle. There are a couple flags there, but if you don't hit it to the middle right of the green, that ball comes all the way off. So we almost think it's too penal as a long par 3, especially getting up to that bluff, to that plateau there. So just some of those items. So if we remember the one item to really take home tonight, that is, infrastructure driven on a lot of those items there. They're not really wants, they're needs. We definitely need to do some of these things to keep our golf course, at the forefront of the future and really great, thoughtful, classy, consistent, seamless. So when we get to the architectural history and evolution, this is sort of where we started with the hole by hole booklets. We always look back in order to look forward to the future. And so we always look back. We obviously want to see any routings or green shapes or layouts from Ross. So we found the original 1920 Ross routing layout, then the 1923 as-built. There were 1921 newspaper articles talking about the golf course going to open July 4th of 1922. So it was constructed late 20 and then all of 21 and then opened July 4th of 22. Beautiful early aerials of the golf course. You can still see haul roads and it growing in. I bet this is at some point has to be August, or September of 24 because the leaves are still on the trees and it looks very dry. Probably August of 24, right after opening. You can see how open it is, lack of trees, and you can see how big the fairway corridors are. They're 60 and 70 yards wide. We see a tractor there on the middle of the ninth fairway mowing the fairway. We can see how big the hazards are out there and how big the bunkers are and really how beautiful that landscape must have been. Natural, just sitting there, rolling, on the rolling landscape. Then we have a 1934 aerial. Again, the lack of trees. It was a beautiful old farm with the brook sort of winding through it. Really, really just simple and elegant. This we used a lot. One thing I want to notice here is the joined fairway of 2 and 8 in the upper right part of the 1924 fairway aerial. So this, all of number 2 was just mown right into number 8. We thought that was so unique and really, really special. So we wanted to bring that back. And then obviously some other things I noticed, there were some hedgerows out there, some joined fairway bunkers that sort of touched holes going each way. And then you can see the beautiful green shapes. We also had an alternate fairway on hole number 5 across the brook, which we think would be fascinating to bring back. Then we see the green shape on hole 16, very pointed and much smaller. The green doesn't go all the way down, within 5 to 10 yards of the creek there, of the brook. It's much smaller and probably much more playable, but really fascinating to see the bunkering. All of them were built to Ross's plan and very bold golf course. So that really gave us inspiration for the master plan. You see our joined fairway on 2 and 8. You see the extra fairway or kind of approach fairway on the left side of 5, giving you optionality going into 5. There was a big horseshoe mound surrounding the green. So if you bailed out down the right side of 5, it made it a much more arduous shot into the green. We can see the bunkering that was on 7 and some of the beautiful parts of the layout. When we get into the holes, we'll discuss. I know I've been talking for about 22 minutes here, and so I'll go for probably another 8 to 10, and then we'll open it up for questions. But we'll hone in on just a few holes here to really discuss in detail. Hole number 2 is one of the ones that we really wanted to talk about. On hole number 1, there's not a lot of change. There are about 9 holes out here, half your golf course, where there's not a lot of change. It's great. It's just nip and tucks, polishing that diamond or gem that I talked about earlier. And then there are about 9 holes with a little more work that could really set you apart, not only in Ohio, but in the classic golf architecture realm. Get us in, back in the top 100 discussion, get us on the radar for national members, things of that nature, put us back in the same category as Inverness and Moraine and Camargo, which I think are the top 3 courses in Ohio. Love Muirfield Village and a couple others. And Canterbury up in Cleveland. But I really think you should be in the top 2 or 3 in Ohio. I think you should be better than Inverness. I think the land is is a little more bold, and the greens it's a better set of greens. They just have national prominence from having a couple majors in the Solheim Cup and things of that nature. But I think we have a better canvas. And if we really took our canvas to the next level, like they did a couple years ago, that's kind of the same thoughts, get us back on this radar of everybody. So at number 2, we're going to line up the tees, open up the fairway, join it into number 8, and then rebunker it, put back the bunkering as per Ross's drawings and plans. Expand the green lightly, and then tie the green right into number 3 tee. That third tee we feel is so arbitrarily high, we would love to lower that a little bit. We're not sure really the evolution of that tee, but we think that when the pond was dug on 5, they got rid of the dirt and hauled it up to 3T and really made that a big, big pimple. It just makes sense. We always look for dirt movement throughout a site, and we were always trying to figure out, hey, if that was an old stream on 5, an old brook, how did it become a pond? Where did the dirt go? They didn't haul the dirt off property. They never would, but they always chose somewhere very close for less money, ease of spending and saving funds, obviously, and it was quick. These projects were always trying to get done late in the fall, stuff of that nature, so it was quick. So where would be the easiest haul from number 5? Right up to number 3. I think that was done maybe when RTJ, Robert Trent Jones Sr., visited the golf course and edited some things, removed a bunch of bunkers, and kind of sort of melted out the golf course and really softened it and made it I just think a little less special. But that third tee we want to lower, and then it'll be a more beautiful uphill tee shot with a beautiful bunker to carry there on 3. Here's the look on 2 with the joined fairways, and then the echelon of bunkers here, or bunkers in echelon as they stair step up the fairway. And there's sort of these dual fairway bunkers with hole 8. And then you see the layers of bunkers that I mentioned about 10 minutes ago. See how you see all of the bunkers, and they're all at different angles, different heights. The layering off the tee is going to be really special. I love how they always stick out a little differently, one sticks out a little further than the other, kind of giving you a feel, and it always looks a little harder off the tee. When we get to 5, we've talked a little bit about that extra fairway. Here's that aerial with that fairway, and there is the creek, 1930 aerial. And we feel like that tee there's not a crazy amount of dirt, or it's not a big pedestal, in our opinion, on number 3. So we obviously feel like that pond was cut in and then hauled up for number 3. Number 5, great hole, great. It's lost its luster because there used to be a big horseshoe mound around the green. So the further you played right down the hole and safer away from the creek, the harder that third shot was into the green. The closer to the creek or the brook that you played, the more of a reward you had and better angle into the green. And if you took on the sort of not island fairway, but sort of a peninsula fairway over here in F in our visuals here, you then were really rewarded because the green was wide open for you. So traditionally, if you play the hole down the middle of the fairway and then all the way down to the corner and then into the green, this would give you much more thought, and the fairway would butt the creek a lot closer, so then the creek would feel a lot more in play. It's a great feature, and we feel like it's lost right now, and it just isn't a part of the golf context. So you can see a look here. Here is the 5 or 6 foot high horseshoe berm that you can sort of see behind the green now as it is. We feel like it's been softened a little bit and definitely used to wrap around the green. We fill in the sort of the pond, the big bow out, oxbow of the creek, give us the alternate fairway. I feel like this could be one of your better holes instead of probably one of your weakest links right now. When we get to hole 6, this is kind of our other weakest link on the front 9. Very difficult uphill par 4, pretty long. And then the green is just vertical in your face when you're hitting it up there. I feel like so many people hit the ball up there and it kind of comes off the front and really backs off the front. So the golf hole really isn't broken. The tees are great. We're not going to do much with the tees. We are going to wind the fairway lightly. And really it just comes down to making the green, getting the green right. And I think it would make the golf hole so much more appealing, interesting, thoughtful, memorable, and it wouldn't just be playing the same exact pin location all the time, which becomes that monotonous affair. Here, obviously, again, is that number 6 left current green, and then ours, this is a softer version when we tilt the green backwards. So we would basically scan the green and then just soften it lightly with a different tilt. This gets done on so many golf courses in America right now, where they just soften some things lightly. It doesn't mellow them out. It doesn't make them flat. We're not looking for that at all. We still want them to have heaps of character, but just a little more fun and enjoyable with more flagstick locations. So you can still hit it in on the left here of 6 on the newer green and funnel it towards the right, but we should have about 6 to 7 new flagstick locations. Here's kind of the look with the flagstick locations. We would also get back the old raw shape instead of, see what it is now, it's just an egg. So notice your green shapes are all very rounded. We want to get back the beautiful corners and the intricate details of these greens as well when we expand them. So that's more of the beautiful look and shape with sort of that kicker off the left. So if you just carry the front approach left bunker, you land here and it kicks onto the green and funnels out onto the green. Hole 7, one of our favorite golf holes, great green. It's a completely different green than obviously hole number 6. That funnel coming through the valley, coming through the green with an incredible middle right flag, back left flag, back right. We're just merely lightly expanding the back right, putting the bunkers back in, enhancing all of the tees, giving us a lot more square footage, getting out the walls, rerouting the cart path. This would be a visually stunning golf hole. And then we kick the forward tee down the slope, as you see number C with the yellow, the dot there, the gold dot. That gives us a preferential angle for the forward tee player so they can run the ball in through the gap. So we think that would be a wonderful upgrade to hole number 7. There's the look of hole number 7 with that incredible green, one of the better greens anywhere in America, one that people talk about all the time when they first visit the golf course. Number 9, just not a lot going on number 9. It's a great golf hole already. We really are just opening up the fairway a little bit. You can see how wide the fairway was. Right now, it's such a truncated corridor. We want people to be able to hit driver up the hill and really get it up there and challenge the golf hole. It once had a beautiful shape to the green. So if you look at number 9 on the green in the, let's see here if I can give it a little context. I'm going to try showing the laser pointer. So if we can see the green shape, that beautiful corner on the front left, it almost looked like a football a little bit. But right now, again, the green is just an egg shape, and we want to get back that beautiful left, those flagstick locations and the bunkering of how it all used to look. One of the better golf holes out there. It's not really broken, just needs a little bit of love. And this is, again, polishing that diamond. There's the look with the bunkers going up the hill, and there's that front left flag and front left portion of the green that isn't there anymore. When we get to hole 11, again, one of the more talked about golf holes in golf. What do you do? Obviously, we used to have the big tree that we can see in the aerial, this dark patch here. So it had this big corner oak that would defend the corner, and you had to play around it. When we lost that, we felt like, what could we do? Right now we have the bunkers sort of in the middle of the fairway, but it really only comes into play for the shorter hitter. I don't feel like it affects a ton of the membership. So we want to push that bunker down around the corner a little bit where it's still visible, but it really challenges the players, just like the tree, almost the same location as the tree. So that tree was down around the corner a little bit, just where that bunker is. So we feel like if we could build that bunker in there, make it look like it fits, so it's not, it won't be invisible, it won't be blind, and really challenge the big hitter from just hitting it over the hill and running it all the way down and making the golf hole kind of obsolete. We want to bring some of that architecture back, some of that blood pumping heroics of hitting over the bunker and around the bunker, just like the tree, like the tree used to. Not a lot else, but there's that bunker, there's the corner, and it really is going to be, it's going to look harder than it is. Obviously, you could play anywhere out on the right and then hit down off the slope, or just skirt the bunker and then run it down. But at least it gives you something to think about on the corner, what sits in there. There's a look again. There's the bunker kind of sitting in. So it would be kind of on this lower shelf right off the fairway, kind of tucked in there. And you would really just want to play it just over the right edge. And then if you really hit a great shot, it runs all the way down to the bottom and you have a great shot in. But it doesn't penalize the shorter hitter, the female golfer, the lower ball flight player, because right now those bunkers sit right here and everybody has to play much further outside on the dog leg who can't, people who can't really hit it over. And then it's, I feel like, an unfair advantage for the longer hitter on 11. There's another look of it, some hummocks and mounding we add on the far end just so we don't hit it through the fairway. These young guys out there who are hitting at 330, trying to give them a little something to think about. But this hopefully would fit like a glove. We'd work really hard to make it look natural, like it was always there. And we feel like this hole would be better for it. This one, we worked very hard with the master plan committee, and we went through 40 different versions and everything you could think of. We worked very hard to get this right. We feel like this is the best solution, and so did they. There's a look from the tee. There's the fescue, and then there's that bunker kind of sitting on the corner there, helping you direct. So you can still hit it straight out, but then you have a longer shot in. If you want to take the bunker on and go down the hill, there's going to be a little more of a challenge. This is a video, MP3. Hopefully it's playing for everybody. And it kind of shows the golf hole a little bit more in depth. When we get to hole 13, great golf hole. We're just going to stretch it back a little bit and work on the tees and then open up the fairway down the right. It is a very tight playing corridor, kind of that big valley funnel that we hit up. Not much else. We're opening up the green a little bit more. That green, again, is just a round egg. And we really want to just get back the old green shape and get us a couple more flagstick locations there. So not a broken hole at all. Great golf hole. Just a little more, just a little bit of work opening up that fairway. There's the look, opening up that green, bringing that fairway bunker into play on the left and the front right bunker. Still keeping some trees, obviously, and some beautiful oaks there. 14. It is a great golf hole, one of my favorites. The views are incredible. I'll never forget my first walk around. Gosh, I want to say it was when I was at Kentucky in 2003, probably about 22 years ago. And I remember coming out here and just standing on this green for probably 25 minutes or half an hour and just saying, wow, like look at the potential. What an unbelievable par 3 setting. I mean, this is like a masterclass in routing from Ross to kind of weave his way down 10, over 11, over the brook on 11, then back on 12, 13 coming up the chute, and then 14 out to the precipice of this kind of mountain. It almost feels like a mountain golf hole. And it's just stunning, too, with the clubhouse in the background. So it's very captivating. We just feel like the green could be back to its two-tiered self like it used to be and have flags all across the front and all across the back. But look at that stunning, obviously, location. You all see it every day. I wish I could see it more. But we really just want to soften the front left corner, soften the front, still have a lot of meat and juice to it. It's going to still look like a 1920s green, but just give this a little more, a couple more flagstick locations instead of it being sort of gimmicky where you hit it in the middle of the green, it comes all the way off the front right. So there are the new flagstick locations, making this what we feel a better golf hole. When we get to 16, another green. We've talked about this. I won't beat it too dead here. I won't beat the horse dead with everybody and keep wearing everybody out with our talks on greens. We can open it up for questions here in just a second and talk about anything else that's on the membership's mind. But here's the old fairway bunkering scheme. There's the old green, obviously from 1934. Big fairway, beautiful turning golf hole. We really just want to get that bunkering back, and the fairway width, get some tees back if we can up the hillside and stretch this golf hole. We feel like it's arbitrarily way too short for the really class, scratch golfer, and I feel like it could be a little more aesthetically pleasing off the tee. There's the green. Again, it's same sort of circumstances, 6 and 14. Those are our three. Like I mentioned, 12, I could always live with if we had to, but at some point that front right maybe on 12 needs to get edited. But the three worst offenders obviously are 6, 14, and 16.